What happens if you have a CDL license and you get a DUI in Wyoming? This is Christina Williams with Just Criminal Law.
And David Mann, legal storytelling specialist. Okay, a CDL, commercial driver's license, I guess puts you in sort of a different category then than a normal driver for a DUI?
Yes, a CDL holder is considered a professional driver. They hold a Class A license compared to your typical driver who holds a Class C license. And so it's more difficult to get a CDL, but then you're held to a higher standard than the average person. So getting a DUI means you're in hot water.
All right, so on that first DUI, say you've never had a DUI before and now you get one, but you also have a CDL, what happens if you don't have any legal representation?
Well, you're looking at a 1-year disqualification. That is, you will not be able to drive at all any sort of vehicle for 1 year, and you're also looking at, the possibility of losing your livelihood, your career. And so getting an attorney, you at least get the peace of mind. If there's a way to attack the DUI and get it dismissed, your attorney or a good attorney will be able to recognize that. And they'll be able to save your license. So when a CDL holder comes to our office, they're really much more nervous or upset than, say, somebody who doesn't use their license for a living. And so they really are looking for something that the state did wrong, something wrong with the investigation, and, that's the first line of attack. And then if there is a way to pursue a dismissal, we aggressively do that. Now, that's not always the case, and sometimes we have to negotiate a plea deal. Now, unfortunately, if you have a CDL, the feds, that is the federal government, has mandated that prosecutors do not negotiate these cases. They can't plead them down. They can't give you a deal to keep it off of your record. And so it really is a stiff penalty if we're not able to fight it. But during the negotiation process, if the person ends up having to plead guilty to the DUI, the next thing that we need to look at is how do we keep them driving? That is, the law requires a 1-year disqualification of the CDL license. And so what we do to help that person is we have them downgrade their license before the suspension goes into effect. That is, they go from a Class A to a Class C driver's license. And then they're eligible for a probationary license because they're looking at a 90-day suspension of that Class C license. And so they're entitled to a probationary license with that, whereas with a CDL, they can't get a probationary license.
All right, so that means with legal representation, you could avoid having this year suspension of driving any vehicle. You could get, potentially, as you describe, an ordinary Class C driver's license. Now, does that all change and does it get worse for the second violation?
Yes, a second violation, that is, if you're looking at a DUI second offense in 10 years and you have your CDL, then your CDL is disqualified for life. That is, that CDL is revoked for life. Now, of note, if you have a first offense DUI and you downgrade to the Class C at the end of the year suspension, you can start over and do everything you did in the beginning to get your CDL to get it back. So you can reapply for your CDL. Now with a second offense, that's not an option. That is a lifetime disqualification. And, the government does allow that to be revisited. You can ask that it be looked at 10 years later, and you can potentially then apply for a CDL if you're able to meet certain criteria and get that CDL license later, but it's 10 years later. And so again, with the second offense DUI, we advise the client, of course we fight it and try to get the DUI dismissed, but if we come to the point where we're not able to do that, then we have our clients downgrade that CDL to a Class C license. And with a second offense DUI, then they're looking at a 1-year suspension, but they can get what's called an interlock device. That is the device that you blow into. They can get an interlock device installed in their vehicle for that 1-year suspension and still be able to drive during that period on a second offense DUI.
One thing I'm wondering about, which people might be wondering, is if you were to be have a CDL and that's your profession, but you get a DUI while driving your own car off duty, does all of this still apply?
Yes, it doesn't matter what kind of vehicle you're in when you get the DUI. Now, there may be obviously harsher penalties if you get a DUI while you're operating, your CDL vehicle. Say, you're a truck driver. Then you're looking at there's basically a no tolerance, so you can't have any alcohol in your system. But if you are a CDL holder and you're driving a regular, pickup or car, that is, it doesn't matter. You're still looking at those same consequences just because that's the class of license that you hold. And again, the government looks at you as a professional driver and you're held to a higher standard no matter if you're in your CDL vehicle or not.
Okay, so the first piece of advice here is maybe don't drink and drive. And the second piece of advice is if for some reason you forget that one, you should call a lawyer if you have this problem. So how do they get in touch with you?
Sure. We'll include a link in the description where they can call, text, or chat with a member of my team anytime, day or night. Here at Just Criminal Law, we know you only get one shot at justice, so make yours count.